Hello and welcome to Building the Premier Accounting Firm. This is the podcast devoted to accounting professionals, helping you, in fact, have the premier accounting firm in your area, offering quality accounting services and getting paid what you're worth. I'm your host, Roger Knecht, president of Universal Accounting Center. And for more than 20 years, I've been working with accounting professionals to help them start and build successful accounting businesses, offering those things that they feel their clients deserve to know about their companies so that they can, in fact, make informed business decisions as they're growing and building their organizations. Now, as a podcast, we actually have on this show every week guests that are actually insights, experts, people that we should be listening to as we're working on our business and becoming the leaders we ought to be. And today's going to be no exception. We're actually going to have today a great guest, someone I'm looking forward to speaking with, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy the conversation. This happens to be Christian Jones. He is the president of TaxProMarketer. TaxProMarketer specializes in exclusively digital marketing for accounting professionals and tax practitioners. They have a reputation across a wide spectrum of specialties within the community as being built upon and prioritizing timely, punchy, and fresh content, nurturing authentic and profitable relationships with their clients, offering technical excellence, and getting results. Now, Christian, being the CEO of the company, he oversees TaxProMarketer's website and CEO departments and helps develop tactics and strategies within each of those areas. The strategy that Christian is basically proud of and has developed around search engine marketing and the implementation team has helped him pull off a number of things, especially setting the standard within the tax and accounting industry as it relates to marketing. So, Christian, welcome to the show.
Roger, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be with you.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. So first of all, congratulations. I know that this is now your opportunity to shine as president of the company. Recently, you were actually promoted to this, and I'm excited to actually discuss this transition. I've worked with Nate in the past. Tell me, what has it been for you as you've kind of taken on this responsibility? Taking the helm. I likewise was promoted to be president within the organization. I'm the third president within our company. And I remember sitting down with our president and having a very important conversation in the transition of, these are sacred cows. Don't change these things.
Yes.
Here's these things that you need to run with and put your fingerprint on. Did you have a conversation with that kind of mindset with Nate?
Oh, goodness. Yes. In some ways, we have had similar conversations, and I'm so privileged to get to work with Nate Hagerty and Troy Lakey, who have been leading our company for, we've been around for 16 years now, and I've been here for 8 of it. It's fun to hear you've had that similar experience of taking over what's a healthy organization, a healthy culture, and being entrusted to lead it yourself. And that's kind of where I find myself right now, is in this really beautiful place of, 2 guys that really do believe in empowering team members. And so we've had a number of people actually get promoted right around me. We've got a new COO, we've got a new CIO, we've got a new chief of staff. And I do have the new role of being the CEO, kind of, leading the company in vision and plenty of other areas. But it's funny to be here because I, started at this company 9 years ago now, part-time, helping with SEO, which stands for search engine optimization, helping our clients rank on a website. Or rather having their websites rank on Google, I should say. And to flash forward now and kind of be exiting a season of conversations with Nate and Troy about how to carry the thing they've built, how to steward the employees, the customers, how to steward the brand. It's been really humbling. It's been a really humbling, joyful, and I take it seriously. So glad to be here in this role and glad to be with you. And this is kind of one of the first things I'm doing publicly as CEO. So I'm glad to be with you doing it, Roger.
Yeah, no, this is wonderful, and I'm really excited for this. We're going to have quite a few things that we'll discuss here, but before we leave this transition, one of the things that I think you can speak to is culture. When I took over the business, obviously the previous president had a certain way of going about running the company, overseeing things. There were some traditions we had in the company. It was interesting to me how everyone was curious what I was going to do differently. And more importantly, they were wanting, just like little children, to push the envelope and see what they could get away with me, where I would put my foot down, push back, and so forth. I don't know if you've experienced any of that, but tell me about culture. It's, as any company is growing, you're looking at bringing on new people. You struggle to find the right match to fill your culture. Do you have any thoughts on culture and what you're trying to do to maintain what you have there now?
Oh yeah, Roger, that's a great question. This is our secret weapon. Like, we are a digital marketing company for tax accounting, bookkeeping professionals of all stripes. And that's what we do, right? That's how we, bring in revenue, serve, our industry. Um, but the thing behind the thing for us that makes us really special is something, again, I'm inheriting. I'm a part of it. I play a role in it. And obviously I'm playing a new role. But what Nate and Troy, I think, honestly, Roger, that might be a great separate podcast to hear their origin story and their fits and starts of building culture. But that's something that, as a marketing company, in our space, actually has probably given us the most longevity and sustainability to grow in the way we have, is the culture that they help create. And so, I actually pulled up some of the stuff they've shared with me in the past about me taking over and stewarding this role. And here's our three quick definitions of vision and values and culture. These all tie together.
Okay.
Our company's vision is the definition of where we're going, which is pretty simple and straightforward. Where are we going? Let's get a clear picture to our team. Our values is how we're going to get there in practice. What are the tactics or the things that we're going to have as pillars? Culture, though, is unique. It's our definition of how we will get there in atmosphere. So again, values is how we will get there in practice. Culture is how we will get there in atmosphere. And so our culture, to us, it's a little squishy. It's definitely intentional, but it's hard to measure in numbers. You can see it in numbers in terms of employees staying for years, turning down other jobs because they love working here. You can see it in terms of how they then take care of our clients and having veterans that know what they're doing because they've been around for a long time. You can see it obviously in joy and satisfaction. So our culture for us, I've got a few things here that we kind of put in place, these 3 or 4 points. But generally speaking, if we do go to more specifics on our culture and things we do, this is our secret weapon, because right now in our industry and in others, just the labor market right now is tight. Jobs are, at this point in time, as we're speaking, it's quite easy to go and throw your resume out to Indeed or LinkedIn or find people that need you, because especially skilled knowledge, professional workforce in most sectors, it's tight. So the competition right now for people in our space, qualified, competent people, is definitely high, as it is as for a tax and accounting and bookkeeping professional. And so what we found that kind of makes our culture our secret weapon is creating a team that really does feel cohesive, has joy, buys into the mission. That's one of the big things, is having people see the bigger picture. That's the vision. Understand the values that are genuine. It's not like HR gobbledygook for us. It really is stuff that we put into practice. And then the atmosphere that they step into and the teamwork. So I am, again, mostly regurgitating things I've been trained in, things I've been coached in for years, and now I'm going to be spearheading.
Yep.
But Troy and Nate get a ton of credit and deserve a ton of credit on what I am now inheriting.
Yeah. So in our business, and thank you for sharing that. But my experience when taking over the company is we obviously had a culture that was already established by the previous president, and we've had to evolve. Initially, when I took over the company, we were a business that was all centralized in a very specific location with an office and so forth that everyone came into. Today, my employees are around the United States and, in fact, even international. And so those old traditions that we once had of 4 times a year getting together as a company, having a summer event with families, we can't do that anymore. Most of my people are actually working outside of the corporate location, can't come to the office, aren't nearby. And so we've had to adapt our culture just to basically take in these remote workers and try and foster a relationship there. So one of the things that we really hone on in our environment is what we call the STAR program, and it's creating a culture of accountability. It's making very clear what everyone's role is, what tasks and so forth they need to do, and what is that one key metric that says they did what they were actually hired to do. So there's a very much focus on performance. But that key metric, it's, I think, clarity. It brings basically purpose to what everyone's doing. And as long as you can define how that one thing, when done and done well, contributes to the company. And as you were describing vision, I think it gives everyone that sense of purpose that they actually play a part in the success of the company, and what they do matters. And so that's the
Yes.
culture that we actually have within our organization. But this unique dynamic of remote workers has really changed everything in the last few years, to where I have employees that I've never physically met. I've
Mm-hmm.
never been with them at all. And that's just kind of it's kind of the new norm, I guess, is what you could call it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
The next thing I wanted to ask is, obviously, with your emphasis as a business on tax marketing, I wanted to dive in there a little bit and help my listeners understand some of the insights that you would suggest that they ought to be aware of. First of all, you brought up SEO earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Define what that is and why it matters to a tax professional.
Yeah, absolutely. So, marketing for any local business has some universal pillars. There's definitely nuance for the tax and accounting, bookkeeping space. But generally, what we do and what we believe in terms of marketing, just start at the high level, and then I'm going to get to SEO because that's one of the first things you've got to do. Marketing in general, as we see it and what we've seen be most successful, should not first and foremost be about clicks or conversions or content and all the other components that fall with that. What softwares are you using? What tactics are you employing? That all matters. That's how you get there. But the vision of what we do from a marketing perspective is actually to help our clients, our bookkeeping professionals, our accounting professionals develop relationships online. So we have a relationship-oriented marketing system. It does involve websites. It does involve email. It does involve blogs and social media content. It involves advertising. It certainly involves SEO. But the macro goal that we bring to our customers, that we bring to our teaching settings like this one, is to try and emphasize clicks and calls and form fills and leads are necessary. But on their own, they kind of miss the forest for the trees. You can build relationships online using a lot of automation, carrying your voice and your brand in a certain way with different types of content you can provide. You can build trust. Even, kind of even to relate it back to you, Roger, we've got a lot of remote employees too. And we found it to be true that you can have remote employees buy in to your culture from afar, even though you've never met them. We've got the same kind of dynamic. And similar for our clients with their leads. You can create trust with customers that haven't met you face to face, that were not a referral, that did not ever shake your hand, because of the way you build your online marketing ecosystem. And that's one way to think about it. It's an ecosystem, it's a funnel, and SEO is at the top of it. So whatever you do from a marketing perspective, if I build you an amazing website, if I've got some great email follow-up content that we're writing, blogs, etc., if no one can find you, that's a problem. And so the beginning of this marketing ecosystem is traffic. It's generating visibility. It's being able to be found by your ideal client. And so that kind of lends itself to a conversation that we commonly have with our customers. Sometimes they've had it before they've come to us. Sometimes they haven't. And there's all types of firms, but helping them understand, one, what type of practice do you want to build? What's the overall goal? Is it to sell? Is it to scale? Is it just to kind of get a few more clients that look like X? But once we get that dialed in, who are those types of leads? Because the internet, the digital marketing space, it really has a lot of capabilities to target and go after different leads. And SEO helps with that. So building your website in a way where someone that's looking for bookkeeping help can find it is what SEO kind of is, in a nutshell. SEO is playing in the reality that Google is a billion-dollar algorithm with a different set of factors and variables that they don't tell you necessarily, but that matter as it relates to being the one that shows up on page one. And I might be able to say that a little more simply, but if you want to get in front of your ideal leads, playing with Google is something we've got to address.
Yeah. So I'm going to try and simplify this a little bit, especially for my listeners, and see if we can maybe break this down, dissect it into some functional pieces that we can maybe make some action items out of. How about that?
Absolutely.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to define marketing and sales and see if you, first of all, have anything to add to the definition. And then we're going to go through some various elements. So first of all, for marketing, I define it as anything and everything that you're doing to get noticed by your potential customer, where they're able to raise their hand and identify themselves so that I can begin nurturing them in a sales capacity. So marketing is everything I'm doing to try and find that new contact. And it might include, like you're describing, things related to SEO. It could involve kind of some free offers where I'm maybe having them fill out a form that I'm able to now capture their contact information. But once I've identified who they are, the game changes. I now need to nurture them through the sales funnel, which can take a day, it can take a year. It's a process of educating that customer to the point that what I have to offer is of value to them. It can help them, and I'm now being seen by them as the expert, the authority in that space, that I'm the one that they should be paying to help them with whatever need they may have that I can assist with. So they've got the marketing, you've got the sales. How would you define yourself, the difference between marketing and sales?
Oh, I think you laid it out quite well. I really like your definition of marketing. I think that is it. It's getting found. It's a process for us. Like marketing is definitely like it's got phases. The phases that we throw out commonly when we teach is, for our online marketing relationship journey, kind of the journey we want to put our clients on as it relates to getting found by their leads, is getting awareness, engagement and subscription, conversion, and then ascension. And that ties in really well as a tactical step-by-step approach to building relationships. Get found, start to engage, convert, and then ascend your leads. And so one of the things that we do is we want to tee up our clients to then have the opportunity to close their leads. And that's a completely separate thing. Sales, tactics, best practices, it does tie into marketing, but it is definitely like further down the funnel. Once a lead is converted, they said, "Hey, Roger, I found you online. I'm really interested in talking. I've got this business. I'm behind on my taxes, or I've never done forecasting, whatever it may be." Well, now we need to think about the best way to create trust, offer value, and really present a compelling ROI. And so that requires obviously discovery. That requires, definitely some soft skills as well. But a lot of our clients we work with, and you as well, and I'm sure people you have on this podcast that are listening, there's so much value that these accountants and professionals can bring to the table for a business. And it's trying to help connect the dots between pain, problem, and value, because you can charge great fees when you believe in your value, when you've understood your value, you've seen it firsthand, and you can step into a lead, a conversation with a prospect with confidence. And that's one of the things we really try and help our clients with is having confidence. You are worth it. People will pay it. And for a new business, a startup, or even one that's kind of trying to evolve, that's usually one of the problems. I can bring you leads, but can you execute a sales process that does communicate value, connect pain and problem, and then just step in with confidence and just do it? And lots of people are great at this. Sometimes this is hard. Sometimes, we've got bookkeepers and accountants that, they started a business. They're more of an accountant or a bookkeeper than a business owner. And I don't say that as a slight, but we've got some people that come in where it's like, no, I love sales. I'm all about it. I happen to be an accountant and a bookkeeper. For some folks, this is something that they have to grow into, and everyone can learn it. This is definitely not a skill that is only God-given or inerrant. I mean, this is something that people can grow in. We've got some resources. We partner with lots of people, like Michelle Weinstein is another gal that we commonly refer people to that does a lot of actual sales training. But man, if you do both well, if you build out a marketing funnel that's bringing you pre-qualified leads, kind of just to reduce it down to that, your marketing ecosystem is bringing you pre-qualified leads. And then you have a strong sales system that your team or you can execute on, you're going to grow. Because the problem is not demand. The problem is not demand. The demand side of the equation in our current environment is that more and more businesses are moving to private practice and away from, even on their personal taxes, not to mention business stuff aside, away from softwares, away from, the large corporations, away from just the way that we might have thought things were going pre-COVID, and more to a specialist, more to someone that can actually know them by name, know their situation, and offer value like us. We've just seen that trend. And it wasn't that way again 5 years ago. And now it is that it's just gangbusters out there right now. If you can get that marketing system in place and then execute a sales system to get those people in the door.
Yeah. Well, you're hitting on a number of things here that we can address. First of all, I'm going to start where you just ended. I think we need to recognize that as much as this is a numbers business, it's still a people business. We have to be able to see that we have a relationship with our clients. They need to appreciate that relationship that we're cultivating with them. And I really feel that the lifetime value of the client is dependent upon that client relation. And so we've got to be basically focused on producing quality work, but at the same time maintaining those relationships. So that's a great place that you went there. I'm going to back up to the marketing and sales discussion because I think we left it too early. I'm really interested in kind of dissecting that a little bit because you've definitely talked about on the nurturing side in sales, positioning yourself as not just the expert, but building this unique relationship with your, let's say, with your contact list, helping them see you as more than just the expert in the accounting space, the bookkeeping, tax services you're providing, but also seeing you as a great individual and so forth, that relationship component. Yes. But before we talk about that, I want to go back to the marketing. The marketing, you've brought up SEO. I don't think you mentioned funnels, but definitely that's in there. We could talk about making sure you have your Google listing, making sure you're being found in your local listings, so that you're actually being very deliberate in what you're producing online that helps you get found where you're locally at. Even though you may be open to doing virtual work and getting clients anywhere, you do want to at least leverage your locale. So my question is did you have anything specific you wanted to talk about that's marketing and kind of maybe some tips or tricks there that the listeners could actually kind of identify as, that's an area of my business that I could enhance or do more in that marketing space?
Oh, goodness, Roger. Yes. Thanks for taking us back to that because that's kind of what I teach on most of the time is SEO, websites, Google business profile. That's where you get your Google page, your Google reviews. People can call you from that Maps listing. So let me talk about some tactics on both fronts. I'll tell you what we understand because I don't work at Google, but the digital marketing space is quite good at deducing what the key factors are. So again, Google's an algorithm. We can pay Google money. I can throw an ad campaign together and target any service, any city or area in the world, and I can pay to get clicks and leads. That's great. We do that. I'm all for ads. But we want a foundation of what we call organic search. It's kind of what SEO is. Mm-hmm. Getting clicks and engagement because you rank on page 1 of Google in your area without having to pay $1 via advertising. So that's what we're about to talk about. And so the two biggest components, knowing that this is an algorithm that's quite complex, there's a lot of factors, but the biggest two factors are how you build your website and what you do with your Google business profile. So I'm going to talk about the website first. So one of the things we run into that I'm sure a lot of your listeners and you yourself, Roger, could probably, you already understand, is that building a website today is as easy as it's ever been. You can build a site today on a site builder like Wix or Squarespace. Those are some common big, cheap website builders. You drag and drop, you put your logo, your colors, your images, your content. Takes you a few days, but it's done. You could also pay companies like $100 and get a good looking site. And so right now, one of the problems we're dealing with as it relates to what we do, which is about performance, is that not all websites are created equal. Your good looking site, the aesthetics, the design, the content does not equal power. We care about that. Like you want your site to communicate properly about what you do and have a clean, crisp look, but without doing some heavy work on the back end, in most competitive markets, almost anywhere, you're not going to get traffic to that site if you haven't done the work on the back end. And so we build our sites on WordPress. That's not to say that that's the only place you could build a site to get performance, but WordPress gives you some tools that help you connect your site to Google, help your site in Google's eyes be better understood, and therefore make it easier for Google to rank you. So that's being very kind of high level, but not all websites are created equal. One of the things Google does look for, though, to go from the back end of the website to the front, is Google actually can measure on your website the uniqueness of your content. So right now, especially right now, more so than ever, content is being scrutinized by Google. And we have an acronym called EAT, E-A-T. Your content on your site, you want to think of it through the lens of expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And what this really means for most people is the boilerplate templatized content on your site, not everyone, but just being general, is actually a flag, a negative flag, a red flag in Google's algorithm. So if you've never written fresh content on your site, or if your content was provided for your site by some third-party provider that, hey, it's been the same for 5 years, or it's duplicated from hundreds of other sites across other markets in the country, it's not that you can't still overcome that with some of the other things I'll talk about, but that is a factor. So we've got how your site's built matters. Not all websites are created equal. The content on your site matters. Thinking about the expertise, the authoritativeness, and the trustworthiness of your site uniqueness. Let's just put it that way. But also Google, and this is kind of, again, into the weeds of technicalities, Google measures engagement as it relates to your rank. Do people click around on your site? This falls under the umbrella of another, let's just demystify it, but it is a 3-letter acronym, UXO, user experience optimization. Essentially, Google's measuring the experience of your website traffic. If they're just visiting your site and leaving, that's not good. If they're visiting multiple pages and clicking around and filling out forms and lingering, that's a massive positive. And so once we get traffic, keeping that traffic engaged, being clear, kind of like a funnel we've talked about, right? There's lots of ways you can think of funnels in marketing, but when they're on your site, you want to ask yourself the question, what do I want them to do next? And that should be the first thing that they see. Hey, you're in the right place. Here's kind of the pain that I can solve, the problems I solve, and tell me more. If you were to look at a site that we've built, that would be quite obvious from the jump. Now there's customization and there's nuance depending on what that firm wants to do, who they want to serve. It helps to kind of weed out people that actually aren't good fits and to help the people that are good fits for what you offer to take the next step. That's good for them, but that also helps Google rank you higher. So this is on-site stuff you can do. Not all websites are created equal. The content on your site, massively important. And then when people do click around, engage, linger, and just not bounce off your site after visiting one page, that all actually factors into how you show up and rank.
So here's something that I want to get a little bit more particular on, and then we'll move on to the sales side, is you were very deliberate in saying that once they finally get to the point of finding your website or finding you on, let's say, the Google listing, you've got to be abundantly clear as to what that call to action is. And the call to action is simply to say, therefore, what? I'm here. Now, what do I do? And once we get that dialed in and very clear for our potential customer, that gives us an opportunity to either have them call us, gives them a chance to maybe schedule an appointment with us, or more importantly, maybe have a form where, as a funnel, we're offering them something in exchange for their contact information. We're literally able to say, here's a white paper, here's a free report, here's something that you can request for free, and in exchange for your name and phone number, you'll receive it. And by doing so, we're building now our list. This person didn't just appear on our website or find us online. It's now we're having a relationship that we're going to begin, and that's going to be something we're going to nurture. And that brings us into the sales side. And I think that's one of the things that you guys really emphasize quite a bit is this whole level of communication. It's helping them see you as the answer, the resource, the expert. Let's talk about that nurturing element that you alluded to earlier.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this is kind of our secret sauce. There's a lot of companies that write newsletters. Newsletters are a dime a dozen. And if I'm honest, even as a consumer of content through my email inbox, there's very few people that I trust enough to not just archive their email immediately or delete it. We live in an age of noise and distraction. And so what we don't want to do as a marketing company is add to it with, again, like we're not trying to be viral. We're not trying to swing for the fences in that way, or again, just kind of follow the trend. What we're trying to do when we've got someone who's given us their information, like you just talked about, we've got their email, We've got their name. We've got their phone number. We know what their problems are. They don't always close immediately. That's okay. Sometimes it's transactional. Hey, I just need help here. Let me get on a call. I'm in. But it doesn't always work that way, especially for higher ticket services or things that are higher, longer commitments, where you're kind of making a long-term decision. People want to feel out, who are you and can I trust you? So here's a tip that we kind of use to help write content. And this is on a weekly basis. We actually have 4 different email tracks that we write and customize for our clients. They have to approve it before it's sent out, but it's for people that are interested in individual tax services, business tax and accounting, business advisory, and then tax representation, tax resolution. So those are 4 different avatars we're speaking to. We don't pitch services on a weekly basis. We'll make timely offers. Absolutely. That's important, especially in the right season. But what we're trying to do is write from a one-to-one perspective. And this is the easiest thing that someone could execute on their own. You could sit down every couple weeks even and write from your perspective as an expert in this industry, your perspective on what's happening, some topic, some idea you've run into with other clients, even case study related stuff. Hey, here's what we did for this client and the things we had to think through and the problems. And I think we talked about this earlier, but if we haven't, people love story. They love narratives. And you have services that they need, but a lot of the reason why they'll stay with you in the long run is if you can make a personal connection beyond just your competency and your skill. You need that too, right? You have to be competent and skillful and be good at what you do. But we've found actually that a lot of the times why an accountant or a bookkeeper might lose a client is not their skill or the competency. It's perceived indifference. Perceived indifference is where you just haven't reached out to them in a long time. You hit them up once a year for forms and documents, and they're just like, you know what? This guy actually doesn't care about me. This gal doesn't even care about me. I don't feel like anything other than a number or a row on a spreadsheet. You want to offer value that personalizes you. I'm a human. I am an accountant, but here's my take on things. Here's my perspective. Here's what I'm seeing in the industry. Here's stuff that's valuable without being, this is kind of the balance you got to strike, without nerding out on them. Some people love that stuff, but most people don't want to know all of the new details from the IRS. They want to know what it means for them. So can you convert changes in the industry to something that in layman's terms is compelling? Absolutely. That's what we found to be true. And honestly, back to Nate, like that's something Nate, I think, is a master at. Nate and our content team is masterful at riding this tension of expertise and authority with relatability. And that's something we do that, again, you can be a client of ours, we'll do it for you. But if you wanted to do this yourself, you don't have to do it weekly. But when you do this, back to my original point that I archive most emails in my inbox. I don't read most emails in my inbox. I kind of hate my email inbox in some ways. There are a few people that produce content that I absolutely will consume because I trust them, because I know they're actually putting in work to write valuable, authoritative things that I need to pay attention to. That's what you absolutely can do for your customer base and your prospect list. You can occupy that space in their mind of trust, but it is harder than boilerplate newsletter that everyone has. Does that make sense?
It does. So here's what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to take what you just described and really whittle it down to, I think, a very bite-sized piece. And it's recognizing that even as much as we want to be perceived by our potential customers or even our current customers as being the experts, being the authority, offering quality services, it's bringing in that personable nature that allows us to be connectable. They're willing to reach out to us. We're approachable. And what we're trying to do is bring in some of those things that make us unique and special as a human being. It's our hobbies, our interests. And there's a delicate line to this. A lot of times people struggle to be so open and vulnerable, transparent. Do they bring in personal things, family life, or not? And that's a decision each of us have to make. But I struggled with this personally for a number of years. As I became president of the company, we had discussed early on, this was like 20 plus years ago, that we intentionally were going to avoid at that time the business being tied to a particular individual. We were worried that it would actually pigeonhole the company and its success to whether or not that individual was being relevant to the audience. Well, lo and behold, you get internet and you get the whole social vibe that's going on right now. And for me, I was receiving advice for years of how I needed to be out there more. I needed to have my face on things and I needed to at least be a little bit more accessible. Well, that was hard for me. It was something that I struggled with. Did I really want to be the poster child for universal accounting? Well, today, fast forward today, you're going to see my face everywhere. I'm anywhere and everywhere, and it's intentional, it's deliberate, and I think it is something that people expect. They want to feel that they can relate to the business, and the business is not brick and mortar. The business is someone in the business, and so to be personable, approachable, that's a key element of it. And I hope and I strive for that connection with my potential customers and current customers is just that they can see me as a human being and genuinely interested in their success, their well-being. And if that
Yes.
communicates, then obviously they're going to be open to spending money with us. And I think that's what you're trying to really communicate there. Let
Yes.
me take it to this next level, because I really feel that people are just going to be wondering what you would suggest. Here you are, an accounting professional, bookkeeper, tax preparer. You're trying to do all these things. And I know that as a business, TaxProMarketers does this. I don't want this to be a sales pitch for you necessarily,
Totally.
but more generically, what is it that's that tipping point that says, you know what, maybe I need to outsource this? How do I know when's the right time to say, I don't want to do this anymore. I shouldn't be doing this anymore. How do I get to the point where I can justify paying for someone's services like yours to at least consider outsourcing it? Do you have any thoughts or suggestions there as someone's contemplating that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's a really good question, Roger. So I see it a few different ways. Sometimes it's a startup, starting from scratch. I just know I don't ever want to wear that hat of marketing. I run into that more often than that first situation. It's the business that's actually doing okay. The business that is more or less kind of following a similar trajectory. They're growing via referrals only, but they've invested in marketing and it just hasn't worked. And so one of the first questions I usually ask someone is, okay, what are your best channels for bringing on new sales? And without fail, 98% of the time, it's, referrals the only way that I usually get new business. And I have a couple of people every year that might find me on Google. And I want to grow, but I don't want to have to go and network more, or I kind of feel like my list is already doing this referral thing. Now it's its own entity, it's its own machine, just because they trust me and it's just going to happen organically. But Christian, I want to grow faster than I've been growing. I want to scale this thing, either again, like onto selling it, passing it on to a kid, or scaling to add new locations and to bring on new producers, to bring on new accountants or bookkeepers to my team. I have to bring in more leads. So that tension of growth is, for a business that's been around, usually that point of, okay, like maybe I don't have all the data in front of me, but just my nose and the smell test. I have to find a way to get new leads if I'm going to grow the way I want to grow. And maybe things are okay. Like I could keep going at this pace, but my desire is actually to take it to the next level. So then it's the question of, okay, who do you trust, or who do you go with? And a lot of people, when they come to the point of talking with us, have tried it themselves or tried at least a couple of other solutions in and out of the accounting space. And honestly, Roger, this is something I would want every one of your listeners to hear, whether they've gone through this or not. In the digital marketing space, there are a lot of charlatans. There's a lot of hucksters. There's a lot of, Nate would call them carnival barkers, is kind of like the image that he uses. And because honestly, like, being good at digital marketing is tough, but building websites quickly, it isn't. Writing some social media content isn't super hard. It obviously takes skill, takes some knowledge, but doing things in a way that works is usually this kind of tension that we have to get through with our leads, our potential customers. Hey, even though you've done this before, and I'm telling you, yes, you need a website. Hey, you need to get reviews on Google. Hey, we need to write some emails. Yeah, Christian, I've done that. I know that doesn't work. And it's akin to me with the tax base. If I go to H&R Block, or if I go to Jackson Hewitt, or if I go to TurboTax, I'm compliant. It's done. Was it done as well as some of your listeners would take care of my accounting or bookkeeping or tax needs? No, but I'm compliant. And so that's like this mentality with marketing that I actually feel like this industry gets quite well. Like the entire value proposition of going with a private practice is you're going to spend more, but you're going to get a better ROI. You're going to save more. You're going to be better positioned. You're not just going to be compliant, you're going to be optimized. And it's going to be something you're happy to do year in and year out. And that's the same with marketing. It's having the belief that, again, the problem is not that your leads who are looking for you don't use Google. And it's not that marketing doesn't work. It's simply that whatever's happened up to this point, whether you tried to hack it yourself and become a marketing expert, on the margins of also running your firm, or whether you hired someone that just kind of flopped. The problem is not that digital marketing is not viable. It's totally viable. It really works. You absolutely can get found by your leads. And if you're in a spot where you want to grow, it is a leap of faith at times. It is trust. It is trust to believe that this isn't just magic and hocus pocus. And so that's a lot of the tension and the pain points, or the what would be the things that we have to walk our leads through to get to the point where they are ready to believe. I want people to believe that what I'm telling them is true, and there's data, there's results, there's things we can point to, but having someone kind of own that internally is important to us. I don't want to just take on new clients without them actually believing that this is where we can take them to those places of growth.
Yeah. Well, let me add a few things that I can relate to. First of all, whenever I'm speaking with someone regarding sales and marketing, I always try to identify which is it that they consider to be their strength, and they can honestly say neither, and that's totally fine. But sometimes I find that some people are really good at marketing. They are good at finding potential customers that are just horrible at least not to their satisfaction of selling them. The other is they're great at selling. They can convert most of the people that they get introduced to into clients. They just don't speak to enough people. They just don't have enough in their wheelhouse, in their sales funnel, to actually at the end of the day offer their services to. So what we're looking for is, where's that need? And then as to this question of outsourcing, I think it's first of all important to understand, where is your ideal customer? Where is it that you're going to find them? Where are you trying to reach them? And then what is the best way to connect with them? And that'll help you identify, is it a very strong social presence? Are you dealing with social media? Are you going to be leveraging LinkedIn? Are you going to be leveraging Facebook, Instagram? Where are you going to find these individuals? And once you find them, how do you engage with them? How do you actually get them to fill out a form, maybe receive their contact information? It's no different than asking for their business card in the olden days. How do you get that contact information so that you can now nurture them? And what you were describing here, Christian, is that nurturing phase is being so critical to help them see that you're the obvious choice, the obvious solution to their need. And what we're trying to do here is at least help them recognize that you have something to offer that's worth paying for. So lots to be said there. I do appreciate your insights, simply because of the fact that I think everyone listening is in a position where they want to do more, in the sense of automating their marketing process, automating their sales process. And anything that they can do there to do that would be hugely a success, because they like to do more of what they enjoy doing, which is the accounting, bookkeeping, and tax. So that's great. I'm going to wrap this up with a few things here. And as I wrap it up, I do want to draw our listeners to the episode description. There's going to be a few things here that you definitely want to take advantage of. And then I'm going to come back to you, Christian, for a final thought. So get that ready for me. But as for the listeners, there are a few things that you definitely want to take advantage of. First of all, Christian has offered here a discovery call. It's something that you can do to reach out to him and get some information that might be helpful at speaking to either him and his team. And it's literally to help your business thrive and dominate in your local area with an effective marketing strategy, so that you're not, like he was describing earlier, interacting with these carnival barkers. And what we're trying to do is give you a chance to learn more about their process at TaxProMarketers and see if there's something here that you can leverage. In addition to that, I want to invite you to take advantage of a few things that are based on what we talked about. Earlier, he was talking about websites. If you don't yet have a website or one that you're proud of, there is a free service that Universal Accounting provides where you can get a free website. Obviously, it's something that you can at least have a website presence, an online presence. It's perhaps the most basic needs of what you're dealing with, but you can grow from it. So definitely check that out. That's in the episode descriptions at Universal Sites, or UA Sites is what that is. The other one happens to be the idea of strategic selling. some of us are actually in a mindset where we struggle with our selling confidence and knowing what it is to say and how to go about asking for the sale. Well, if that's the case, strategic selling and selling with confidence are two courses designed to specifically address how do you go about taking a potential customer and help them see the value in what you're doing and be willing to pay for it. And if you're in a position where you're wanting to now leverage all these contacts that you're having and convert them, it's your closing ratio, into viable customers, definitely take advantage of these two courses, strategic selling and selling with confidence. And the last thing is, if you're struggling on the marketing side, definitely check out Becoming a Profit and Growth Expert. Here we're addressing various things that are tried and proven marketing strategies that you can apply in your business, all of which would complement exactly what it is that Christian's discussing as you look at automating your process as well. Now, with those things being said, I do want to just kind of highlight a few of the highlights of this conversation. One, Christian, congratulations on the promotion. I think this is phenomenal. Having been in that same situation of being elevated to president, there's a wonderful opportunity to build your own legacy here, put your fingerprint on a number of the things within the organization, and really make a difference. And so I commend you on not only just going all in on this, but I wish you the best of luck as you take the business to this next new level. As for culture, we talked about how that's so relevant. Each of us are in a situation where we're now working with so many remote employees, and how do you build that relationship with them that they want to stick around and stay? There is value in lowering that turnover and having people actually stay committed to the organization. And they've done a great job over there at TaxProMarketers. And in doing so, created a culture that people want to be a part of and feel that they're valued in. And I think that's hugely important. The next was talking about marketing and sales. I think we were able to get a little bit more clear as to what each of those elements are, why they're so important within the business. Christian was able to address the idea of SEO, why that's important, having an online presence where the Google algorithms are finding you and you're able to actually be found in the local searches and so forth. We mentioned your Google listing, whether or not you've actually got that and leveraged it to your benefit. You definitely do want to do that. We also talked about how you can use content marketing to really help enhance your presence online and communicate your story. And this is where I felt we went to that personable side of the business. Yes, we want to be seen as the expert. Yes, we want to be seen as the authority, that we have a quality service that the client wants. But to be personable and approachable is so much an important part of this process, because we want to be seen as a human being. And more importantly, we want them to be able to relate to us at that level, whether it is as a peer, a fellow business owner, or just at the hobby level. We just have similar interests. So loved that as well. And then this last part where we were talking about call to actions and getting into a position where we could actually help the client see that what we had to offer is of worth. Great conversation about that. So many things that we hit upon today. Christian, is there anything more you'd like to add to this?
Oh goodness, we've done a great job of broaching into a number of important areas in this conversation, Roger. Thank you, and you hold your own in marketing, of course, just as well as we do. So I appreciate the back and forth and your perspective. And the thing I would want to leave people with is hope, tactics, areas, things that we could do to help make them, kind of get in a spot where they have a lot of leads coming in. There's a lot of things we could keep talking about. But to the person that's listening to this, that is kind of wondering, is this for me? It is. Whether you use Roger's courses, please do that. It's available to you. He's got a lot of great stuff. And that's stuff that, again, he's highlighted. So that'll be in the show notes, or us or someone else. Whatever you do, you absolutely can leverage this space of digital marketing and the tools and the tactics and the ways that we've kind of described today, with that relational orientation and being personable, and then all the little, technical things too. This could be something that takes you to the next level, period. If that's something you're struggling with, if you've tried to do it before and it just hasn't worked, I'd want you to leave feeling that you're the person we're thinking of. We're thinking of you as you sit there, maybe a little skeptically, maybe a little cynically, or maybe just feeling distraught. Gosh, I don't know if I could do that. I've never seen it happen. I've never experienced it. I've seen that happen dozens of times, where someone that's never experienced growth from an online source start to experience that and to benefit greatly. And so we'd love to talk with you. We'd love to help you on both sides, from Roger's end or our end, however we can. I hope this conversation added some value and at least took you one step forward. There's dozens of things we didn't talk about, but all of this is stuff that you can use and benefit from. That's what I'd want to leave you with.
Beautiful. Christian, thank you for that. I really appreciate your time here today, and I do enjoy the topics that we discussed. I think they're so important. We have a phrase that we use in business, nothing happens until you make a sale. So it does come back to marketing and sales. If you're not doing it well, you can be a great accountant, tax preparer, and so forth, but unless you have paying clients, it really just doesn't matter. So marketing and sales, it is where it all starts, and it is the thing that determines our success. So love this. So for everyone else, as you're listening, I do want to point out a few things. First of all, if you haven't already subscribed, definitely subscribe to this podcast. Each and every week we come out with new episodes, speaking with the experts on things that we can be doing that are related to marketing, selling, pricing, client onboarding, client retention, mental health, and so many more topics that I would encourage you to check out the past episodes and definitely set your alerts so that you're notified of the new episodes each and every week. Also, within the episode description, you'll find some additional free resources. Definitely want to check those out. We want to invite you to GrowCon. It's an annual event that we have as a conference for owners of accounting, bookkeeping, and tax businesses. Love to invite you to GrowCon. Christian will actually be speaking at our next GrowCon, and so we're excited to have him come and bring his expertise and share with us some insights related to marketing and so forth. And I invite you as a accounting professional to find time to actually work on your business and join us for GrowCon. It's an annual event that you don't want to miss, where you hear from the experts, interact with your peers, and most importantly, hear from those people that have insights as to what it is you can be doing to build the premier accounting firm in your area. In addition to all this, if you have any questions about the principles that we've discussed or have questions about what it is you can do to apply these things in your business, feel free to give us a phone call. You can contact us at Universal Accounting. It's 801-265-3777, or you can visit us online by going to universalaccountingschool.com. Regardless, be safe, have a wonderful day, and always remember this: if it's about accounting, it is universal. Take care and have a wonderful day today.